Coming up, 7 sports games that hid weird and chilling things. Missing Number starts now. The original NBA Jam came out in arcades in April 1993. It was a smash hit, but just 2 months later, something tragic happened to one of the players featured in the game. A New Jersey Nets player named Drazen Petrovic died in a car accident in Germany. He was a 28-year-old shooting guard who achieved success in Europe before joining the NBA. When he ultimately played for the Nets, he was one of the league's best shooting guards, and his inclusion in NBA Jam was a testament to that. But in the summer of 1993, Petrovic considered quitting the NBA due to the lack of recognition in the league, and the fact that the Nets had not yet extended his contract.
Petrovic! Petrovic! Sweet touch!
On June 7th, Petrovic was in a car in Germany on his way to a basketball game. A woman he was romantically involved with was in the driver's seat while Petrovic was asleep. Then at around 5:20 p.m., a semi-truck cut them off and they ended up crashing into each other, which caused Petrovic to get fatally ejected from the vehicle. This happened just 2 months after NBA Jam came out, and for some bizarre, inexplicable reason, the game would randomly shout Petrovic's name, even if there was no one at the arcade cabinet.
Petrovic! Petrovic!
And even if someone other than Petrovic scored a point in the game, the in-game announcer would still shout Petrovic, as seen here. In a 2008 ESPN interview, the game's project leader, Mark Turmel, confirmed that the creepy phenomenon was real. He recalled how one night he was playing Mortal Kombat with others, and then all of a sudden the NBA Jam machine in the room started saying Petrovic. Everyone freaked out, and Turmel noted that this only happened after Petrovic died.
He was a NBA player from Eastern Black Country, and he was on the New Jersey Nets. And after he made the cut, the initial game was, we only had 2 players per team. He died the next year, and somehow the coin-operated game in the attract mode, when nobody's playing, would every once in a while would just call out Petrovic, Petrovic, just out of the blue. And so people caught on to that there was it felt like a haunted game. And I don't know how that glitch could happen or what, it doesn't make any sense.
The game's announcer, Tim Kitzrow, also corroborated what Turmel experienced on a podcast in 2019.
When the game came out, this player, Drazen Petrovic, was in the game, and he was tragically killed in a car accident. And one night the factory, maybe like couple hundred games are in the factory, and like after people are leaving work and the lights are off, they were walking through there, and the cabinet just started like going Petrovic, like the game turned on and started saying his name. And there are a couple of other stories, if you look online too, and Mark will corroborate this, where arcade owners said that the same thing happened, for no reason. It wasn't in attract mode, and that Petrovic certainly wasn't an attract mode feature, but suddenly there would just be it's on and it's me yelling Petrovic, the haunted cabinet.
Ooh, that's really creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is real and it's documented. So whatever. And I had a couple other things like that where when as I said, the recording studios were at the factory at Midway Games. So we'd be in this back room, we'd come out and there's the factory floor, and we were doing pinball games. There would be literally a couple hundred games on the floor, lights are off, and I'm walking out, and I just done the Twilight Zone, Rod Serling's voice, and they leave them on test for 24 hours to make sure there are no bugs or whatever. So it was just playing this attract mode. And so to hear my voice of Rod Serling in a dark factory, 100 machines, you've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone. I mean, talk about a Twilight Zone episode. So that was really weird.
Petrovic was later removed in the home console versions of NBA Jam. If you like this video so far, be sure to subscribe, like, and click the bell icon for notifications. If you have any gaming myths, mysteries, oddities, or Easter eggs, be sure to let me know. You can also check out my other YouTube channel and watch me live on Twitch. The links are in the video description. Now back to the show. The PSP port of Tony Hawk's Underground 2 featured a level called Santa Cruz that was not seen in the home console version. The map itself was a sunny beachside town, but there was something strange and creepy hidden underneath it. If you use the low-gravity cheat code and enter the Boardwalk Arcade, you can jump over an invisible wall. Then if you clip through another wall, you can see a floating rectangular object with a spooky red face on it. No one knows exactly what it is, or what it was used for. The Tony Hawk series has included creepy things before, so it's possible it's a spooky Easter egg, or maybe it's a placeholder texture. Meanwhile, others think it's a Third Eye Blind album cover, or a logo for the Zero Skateboards company. Then there's the theory that it's a graphic that's meant to pop up on screen, similar to what happens when you get electrocuted in Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. In an August 2020 video interview with gaming mystery channel Oddheader, Tony Hawk's series producer Ralph D'Amato was asked about the face. He said he didn't know, but admitted that he wasn't really involved with the development of the game. He speculated it was a texture or graffiti tag that was being tested. It most likely wasn't a Zero Skateboards logo though, since D'Amato explained that logos are legally licensed and have terms and conditions, so developers wouldn't mess with them.
One busted taillight. Violation.
Interestingly, a QA tester who commented on the video claimed that the face was actually a question mark. They said that they've seen this in another game they worked on where a texture was missing. It's hard to see a question mark, but in 2016, a user on a Tony Hawk forum was able to rip the texture out of the game. It was just 8x8 in size, but the tiny image resembled a question mark much more clearly. Presumably, you would only need a few dots to create a question mark that small, which may explain why it looks like a face when stretched. The object would reappear in the same level in Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, but purportedly, there was no longer a face. The object was now just a solid gray color. A lot of Mario Kart games exist, but one of the more obscure ones is Mario Kart Arcade GP. It came out in October 2005 and was only released in arcades. It was also made not by Nintendo, but by Namco, and it was relatively rare to find outside of Japan, with the exception of one of its sequels. One of GP's features included a camera called the Namcam that took a photo of the player. It hung over a player character to differentiate between human players and AI. This feature, however, was linked to something disturbing. 3 unused JPEG images titled Cam Test were discovered in GP's files. The first image was made up of colored stripes, while the second image showed mascots interacting with a child at Expo 2005. The third image, meanwhile, was a photo of the Beslan school hostage crisis. In September 2004, Islamic terrorists stormed a school in a Russian town called Beslan. They were under the orders of a Chechen warlord who demanded that Russia withdraw from Chechnya and recognize its independence. There were 1,100 hostages, and 334 of them were killed, of which 186 were children. It's considered the deadliest school shooting in history. So why in the world does a Mario Kart game include a distasteful photo of the terrorist attack? Maybe it was a disgruntled developer, or a tribute to the horrific event. GP did just come out a year after the crisis. The most popular theory is that the images were placeholders that were used to test GP's camera, but why this grim picture was chosen in particular is perplexing. Warning, the following image and video will make your skin crawl. During a live stream in March 2017, MLB The Show 17 developers were showing off graphical improvements to the game when suddenly viewers came face to face with this.
Alright, so that's what happens when you have a bug. We've had several bugs throughout the year that create these effects. And
a bug had turned players into monsters.
Looks like something out of Resident Evil.
the hair can get stretched across the field, it can become giant, it can do all sorts of crazy things.
The glitch on the right in particular made people scared, or grossed out, as some individuals have trypophobia. It's a fear of small holes clustered together, and it may be a biological response, since holes in skin are associated with disease. When looking at something like this, some individuals may experience panic attacks, nausea, itchiness, body shakes, nosebleeds, or goosebumps. Personally, I get the latter. The game's developers speculated that the glitch was due to an update with the rig or some compute phase that was out of sync. Trials Evolution lives up to its name. It contained an alternate reality game that evolved into a globe-trotting treasure hunt in real life. Trials Evolution came out in 2012 for the Xbox 360, and it was a 2D motorcycle game where you had to clear obstacle courses. The concept was simple, but hidden in the game were wooden planks that formed a secret message when put together. It instructed players to perform a secret maneuver that unlocked a full hidden song.
The secrets are hidden in the brighter tones.
The lyrics contained a hint that suggested using spectral analysis on the song to reveal Morse code. This then led to a website that uploaded cryptic images daily, starting in April 2013. It turned out that the images were tied to a scientist whose name helped transform the codes into the English alphabet. An image then appeared, and users had to submit an answer, which was quickly discovered using a substitution cipher. The answer was Big Freeze with no complete end, and it refers to the fate of the universe. When the correct code was entered on October 9th, 2013, this screen appeared, revealing coordinates to 4 cities around the world. In Sydney, Australia, this chest was found just 4 hours after its location was revealed. It was found in a hole in a sandstone wall underneath a harbor bridge. Inside the chest was a key and a metal plaque that read, "It seemed like forever ago." It was a quote from John Green's novel The Fault in Our Stars. All of the other locations contained the same chest with the same items inside. In Bath, United Kingdom, the second chest was hidden behind a gravestone under a tree. And in San Francisco, United States, the third chest was buried in dirt with little to no physical markers. Meanwhile, in Helsinki, Finland, which is where the developer of Trials Evolution is based, a treasure hunter found himself at the location of a Finnish gaming magazine office, where the staff handed him a drawing, a metal plate, and 300-year-old French documents pertaining to a French property transaction. Going back to the drawing, it turned out to be a map that led to a small cemetery where a container was hidden. Inside of it were items like an antique pocket watch that had an engraving from 1916. It's hard to know what any of this means, but none of us are going to live to find out, since the other side of this aforementioned plaque had another message. On August 1st, 2113, one of 5 keys will open a box underneath the Eiffel Tower. In a 2015 video interview with a Trials fan named Brad Hill, the game's creative director Antti Ilvesuo, who created the alternate reality game, said that he made sure that in 2113, something will happen when people with the keys show up underneath the Eiffel Tower.
But yes, I made sure that in 100 years that something happens in the exact time with the people who have the keys. I made it just like, that's no joke. Ruin happening in real world, 100 years exactly in this location for people with the keys. And something happens. It's not moving to any other game. That's the real
finished.
and it's happened. And
Ilvesuo teased that it was connected to wooden planks in the game's last DLC. When the planks were pieced together, it formed a quote from a physicist and philosopher named Ernst Mach that read, "It is utterly beyond our power to measure the changes of things by time." The base game of Trials Evolution contained clues that revolved around the past, while the game's first DLC had clues that revolved around the future. So it seems that the theme of this whole puzzle is time, and that solving the puzzle is just a matter of time. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for the NES is a notoriously hard game. It required perfectly timed button presses to dodge and punch. For almost 30 years, however, no one knew that specific individuals in the crowd could help you out. Sitting in the front row to the left is a bearded man. He never moves until you fight an opponent named Piston Honda for the second time. If you look carefully, the bearded man will quickly nod his head, and when this happens, that's your cue to throw a punch. If successful, you'll knock out Honda in one hit. You can also one-shot another opponent named Bald Bull during your second bout with him as well. He has a powerful charge attack that destroyed players back in the day, but the same bearded man will nod his head once again, indicating that you can perform a knockout. It's well known that opponents in Punch-Out have tells for when you can knock them out in one hit, but it was never known that the crowd gives visual cues for when to punch. The person that's credited for discovering the 2 previously mentioned visual cues is a YouTube and Reddit user named Midwestern Housewives.
This secret has not been discovered, even though it's a small one, for 20-something years, as long as this game's been out.
However, a year prior in August 2015, a GameFAQs user named Brandon Flakes had already posted the tip about Bald Bull. A few people claimed that they already knew about the audience's visual cues years and years ago. One online user said that their cousin was aware of it around 1989, and that they would yell at the user for messing up. However, this was the pre-internet era, so if people somehow did know about the very obscure crowd Easter eggs, it wouldn't be a lot. In a 2009 interview with the late Nintendo president Satoru Iwata, Punch-Out's designer Makoto Wada also revealed that there was actually another visual cue. When fighting Bald Bull the first time, a specific camera will flash, letting you know the right time to punch. Wada said that no one knew about it for 22 years, and that the game has a lot of hints and hidden elements. The unmasking of Kane was a shocking moment in the history of the WWE. For years, viewers had no idea what the savage wrestler looked like behind the mask. The character of Kane debuted in April 1997, and he was a demonic brute who was the half-brother of another wrestler called The Undertaker. The fictional backstory is that in the 1970s, The Undertaker burned down his family's funeral home where Kane's face was burnt. Kane was then sent to a psychiatric hospital and ended up killing a psychologist. Afterwards, Kane was forced to wear a straitjacket and was locked in a padded room until his eventual release. When Kane emerged in the WWE, he always wore his mask even when fighting in the ring. But in June 2003, Kane finally took off his mask after losing a title match. This was due to a stipulation that if Kane lost, he would have to reveal his face to the world. It was a monumental moment, but it actually wasn't the first time Kane was unmasked. In August 2000 at a pay-per-view event called SummerSlam, The Undertaker forcibly removed Kane's mask, giving viewers fleeting glimpses of Kane's exposed face. However, it was hard to get a good look, and the public still didn't really know what Kane's real face looked like. What happened at SummerSlam was arguably the first time Kane had his mask removed in public, but a full year before that, his face had already been revealed in an N64 game called WWF WrestleMania 2000. The wrestling game came out in November 1999, and it let you edit Kane's appearance. You had the option to change his mask, but surprisingly, you also had the option to remove it, and doing so revealed Kane's burnt face. In the follow-up game, No Mercy, Kane's face was also visible without a mask, but oddly, it didn't have any burn marks. Regardless though, the fact that gamers could see Kane's maskless face 3 to 4 years before it was unveiled in real life is pretty cool,